domestic versus overseas suppliers. That's one thing that we kind of have been dealing with for a really long time. And me and Mike actually just last week went to the Design to Part show down in Connecticut. And we met a lot of really great domestic manufacturers. We usually quote most of our projects domestically and overseas, just to kind of compare costs. I would say that overseas is definitely more competitive when it comes to tooling and labor. But I think we're seeing a bit of a shift to domestic suppliers kind of trying to win more business. I think a lot of it is because shipping rates right now are pretty high coming from overseas, and I think more and more people are just trying to make things in the U.S. I think where we have found the biggest discrepancy, I think the tooling and the per piece price can be somewhat comparable. I mean, obviously tooling is always a little bit less overseas, but we've also worked with domestic suppliers that get their tools overseas, bring them over here, and then make it in the U.S., which is a great way to go too. Really, the biggest difference is labor. The labor cost overseas is a lot less than the labor cost here in the U.S. So if your product requires a decent amount of assembly, that's when it's really going to be hard to make it in the U.S. If it is, if your product is a simple 1-piece, 2-piece injection molded piece of plastic, then that's a no-brainer. We want to stay here in the U.S. We don't have to pay for shipping. We don't have to pay for tariffs. It can save you a lot of money. But it's really kind of when you get into those items of 5, 6, 10 part assemblies is kind of when domestic suppliers price themselves out. I think ideally we want to be staying here in the U.S. as much as we can. We would rather be able to take a car ride and go see our production and go see our tool and everything like that, rather than a 16-hour flight. So, definitely it's interesting, and I think it is, more and more getting more accessible. And I think that's, like as we talked to a couple suppliers at the show that they are more and more willing now to do assembly and to work out with their clients and figuring out a cost-effective way to make it happen in the U.S.
Yeah, and it also feels really good to have a product designed, engineered, and produced all in the U.S.